Okay, guys, so in this video, we're going to talk about Beyond Meat. So the stock rallied up big on positive earnings that were released earlier today. So the stock is actually up 28%, guys. So Beyond Meat is a company I've been talking about. I haven't mentioned them for a while, but there was a really nice buying opportunity back in February. I believe the stock had been absolutely crushed by this whole crisis situation going down. As you can see, the stock was down 50%, and it was trading at around a price of about $51. So it actually filled that gap. So that was a very nice opportunity to buy shares. Actually, that was in March. To correct me for being wrong, but back in March, it went all the way down to about $50, and it's completely filled that gap. So let's get right into the earnings. Okay, guys, so let's get right into it. I'll give you guys a quick background on Beyond Meat. They're plant-based meat producer. They basically come up with plant-based sausages, burgers, and stuff like that to kind of replicate meat, but the most of the burgers are actually produced using peas. So as we can see here in the first quarter of 2020, revenues are up 141% year over year to 97 million, and gross profit improved to 37 million with a 38.8% gross margin. So the company actually reported an earnings around 3 cents per share, which is pretty impressive for, I would say, a young growth company like Beyond Meat. They haven't IPO, they haven't been around for that long, and a lot of the reason why the stock was down so much is because if you take a look at a chart a little bit longer term, they had a huge growth spurt right after their IPO last year. So I can show you guys really quickly. So they had a huge growth spurt here, and then this was like the lockout period, and then the insiders dumped their shares, and the stock's been way down. So the stock is actually way down from its all-time high in July last year of about $235, and it looks like we're basically filling this gap here. So I expect the stock to go up a lot more, but of course we have to be careful because this is trading right at resistance, and they removed their guidance for 2020 due to the whole coronavirus, guys. So I still think there's a lot of time to get into Beyond Meat. I still think plant-based meats are here to stay, and this is a very young industry. As you can see, the company hasn't even IPO'd for okay, it'd be a year yesterday. So the company's only been around for the year. So there's a lot of future growth there, guys. So let's dig into those numbers a lot more. So as you can see here, the CEO said, I am proud of our first quarter, exceeded our expectations despite an increasingly challenging operating environment due to the whole coronavirus health crisis. As you can see here, guys, these are pretty awesome numbers. And let's just give you guys a quick rundown. So how is the coronavirus going to affect Beyond Meat? Well, let's take a look at some of these numbers, guys. So as you can see here, net revenues are way up, but this is where we're going to see some problems. So obviously, with so many factory closures and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot harder for Beyond Meat to meet those numbers. And of course, they sell a lot of products in things like retail, so restaurants, and there's been a ton of restaurant closures. So even though people have been delivering products, via Uber Eats and things like that, food delivery services, it's just going to be tough for Beyond Meat to kind of hit those numbers. But if you take a look here, their international growth is insane, guys. So almost 4,000% international growth in the retail side. And I've kind of seen that, myself. I've seen a lot of, international restaurants and things like that selling plant-based meat. And, of course, there are a lot more vegetarians and vegans that live outside the United States. So it would make sense that this product would catch on. And I think this product will do especially well in markets like India, which India has the most vegetarians, per percentage wise in the entire world. So the good thing about Beyond Meat is they just basically keep producing their products. So let's take a look at some of those products that I was just mentioning. So if you guys aren't familiar with the company, you can actually, okay, so if you guys aren't really familiar with the company, I just want to quickly do a rundown. You can obviously check out this information on beyondmeat.com. You can just check it out. So they've got the Beyond sausage. So this is a sausage pork replacement. And then they have some other or a beef replacement. And then another, like a pork sausage replacement. And then they have crumbles and things like that. and then they have the very, very popular Beyond Burger. So this is like a replacement for like a cheeseburger or something like that. So what a lot of companies are doing is they're testing out these products in their restaurants, and they're having good sales. And obviously you can see the sales numbers here. It's a pretty straightforward business. Beyond Meat, they need to sell basically more patties, more sausages, and more things like that. As you know, the demand for vegans and vegetarians is increasing a lot, and people are finding that this can be a healthier alternative to meat consumption, because meat consumption isn't really good for the environment. We have to cut down trees and raise cattle, and there's just a lot of variables that come into this where these products are produced through plants. It's just much more sustainable and a lot easier, and has much fatter margins because you don't have to simply have all this land and things like this to raise cattle. So now here's the thing about Beyond Meat's balance sheet. So they're holding around 246 million in terms of cash, and with only about $30 million in debt. So this is kind of one of the companies that will do pretty well. I think they won't be so affected by the slowdown. The balance sheet isn't drowning in debt and things like that. And they have a lot of headwinds ahead though, because as you can see here, they've suspended their 2020 outlook. So that's not a good sign. But I think a lot of companies have done that just to be conservative and just not to surprise investors too much. So let's take a look a little bit closer at their balance sheet. So as you guys can see here, the company is holding that cash position around 246 million in cash, and their long-term liabilities are only about $27 million. So plenty of money in the bank. That's a very good sign there. They should be just fine, and their retained earnings is improving as well, slowly but surely. But I believe that this is a type of company where, as long as more and more people are purchasing their products, they should have no problems turning a profit in the long term. We're looking for growth here, so there's some really excellent growth numbers, guys. And I think Beyond Meat is still in play. Remember now, it's off its like 52-week high or whatever. So a lot of growth ahead for this company. So now, where do I think Beyond Meat stock is going? Well, okay. So as we take a look here, this is look like the cup and handle chart. So basically, where the stock is pushing back up against resistance at around 132 dollars. So it's going to be really interesting to see here. For me personally, I wouldn't be buying here. I wouldn't be buying the news on earnings, because I want to see if this stock breaks past resistance. There is a little bit of risk here, because everybody knows that Q2 is going to be disastrous for a lot of companies. Still a lot of parts in the world that are still currently locked down, and a lot of American states that aren't fully operational. And remember now, this is Q1 now, so the majority of those sales kind of occurred before these lockdown and quarantine measures. So there is some risk here for Beyond. Stock term, I think Beyond Meat is in an excellent position. It's another one of those disrupting companies that is just simply benefiting from a different trend, and it's offering another one of those alternative ways to consume food. And I think the product is good. I've had a few Beyond Meat burgers myself. I think they taste good. I'm pretty sure other people like them as well. If you've had one, please let me know in the comments whether you enjoy the food or not. But I think it's another one of those nice companies. And the fact that it IPO'd in 2019, we're going to know a lot more about this company once we have 2-3 years of worth of earnings to look at. But if you're looking for something with hyper growth, and you're looking money fast, and you want to invest in something that can skyrocket in price and be worth a lot more in the future, I think Beyond Meat is a nice choice. So I'm definitely going to be making some more videos on this company in the future. And like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please just give it a thumbs up if you like my content, and smash that red subscribe button to get more free video updates whenever I post a video on this channel. So that's it for now, guys. Take care.